My mom and my dad both were on drugs when I was brought into the world. So, I was born into the world of crack baby. That's what they labeled me as. Like, everything was a preparation. I felt like I was being prepared for something. God knew He was bringing me back to Him. I feel like with church, if you're just kind of like looking at everybody else and, you're judging yourself and others based on what you see, it's easy to just be like, this isn't for me. There's too many rules, like when a parent gives you rules and you're just like, it's too many guidelines. I want to go do my own thing. I want to know why. And so for me, I feel like I strayed away. I felt like there was just too much here and I couldn't stay within these guidelines that I had here. I felt like I needed to be somewhere else, and I felt that I found people who I could relate to outside the church. I felt like there was people that shared more of their selves with me, shared more of their stories with me than I got when I was in church. And so it was just like, I can't be here. I can't be in this place. I am still on a journey. Things in my life, present day, didn't make sense. Really, in life, I would always be like, God, I want a relationship with my parents. And I think that was one of the things that I ran from growing up because I wanted it so bad that when I fought for it, I always felt like I was getting things that kind of made me more angry with them. When you're fighting for something that you can't get, it can frustrate you. That hurt, that pain, that loneliness, that thing could be the thing that drives you crazy.
Detectives say he was shot while he was trying to help somebody. Tonight, Burton's daughter tells AJ Janavel about who her father was.
We took pictures right over here by these stairs.
Photography is one of the only ways you can let the world see through your own eyes. That's why Tanisha Frazier does it. But these photos she's getting printed are ones that she wishes she didn't have to share.
I never thought I would have to plan a parent's funeral.
On January 16th, King County Sheriff's officials say they found the body of Martin Burton. He had been shot and killed and left here, a place that once held beauty for Tanisha.
Me and my brother, we took some pictures out here maybe a couple of years ago. This was the same place that we found out my dad was murdered in.
Frazier wishes she had more time with the man she was just getting to know.
He tried his best to be the best father he could be.
In life, Burton struggled with addiction and at times lived on these streets. Frazier tells me sometimes he would be gone for months or even years, but her father made a change.
He was looking better, dressing better, eating better.
In the last 3 years, Tanisha tells me her dad got clean. He was living with family, working, and even going back to church.
I've been waiting to see him smile like that again.
This picture of Tanisha and her father was taken 2 weeks before he was killed. From an outsider's perspective, Burton could be seen as many things, but through the eyes of his daughter, she knew who the real man was.
My last impression of my dad is his smile. That's more than I can ask for.
What made you come back?
Like I said, I was on this journey of going backwards. I was running from something and I felt like I got confronted with it in my life. I felt like someone was like, you gotta pause and you gotta reflect. You gotta look at your life. There's something that you're not confronting. There's something that you're choosing to run from, and until you confront this thing, you're gonna continue to go through it. And so I started my journey backwards, and to me, church was my foundation. I started in the church, I was raised in the church. My grandma kept me in church from a baby until I got to the age where I didn't have to be in church. And so I feel like it was always instilled in me. It was always there. But when you are running, you almost leave behind everything that you were taught because you're trying to find your own way. And I felt like I was trying to find my own way. I wanted to figure out who I was, and so I left the church because I didn't feel like I found myself here at that time. So coming back I came back because I felt like there was something here that gave me a sense of peace, you know? I felt like I needed that in my life and I was missing it, and until I found my peace, I was gonna continue to run. And so death kept happening, and I guess that forced my hand a lot because usually funerals that I attended took place in a church. And the funeral before I came back to the church was one of our members who had passed, and I came in, and from that day, I felt like I had to keep coming. I had to stay. So I came back, and every Sunday I was here. I was here showing up. I was, attending. I felt like every time I would listen to the word, it would speak to me. It was like God's way of confirming things, like, this is where you're supposed to be. This is where I need you. And so I stayed, and I ended up getting baptized, like I said, a week before my dad passed. I felt compelled to join the church again. And I was baptized when I was younger, but I don't think I really knew what it meant then. I felt like, sometimes you do it just because you believe that's what you're supposed to be doing, but I feel like that was God's way of continuing to cover me even though I strayed away. Like, I was baptized before, so it was God's covering that kept me. He kept it on my mind that even though I ventured off, I was always going to come back. He knew me before I knew myself. So I felt like coming back to the church was, like I had to rededicate my life, and I had to make that choice consciously. Like, nobody can make it for me. And by doing that, God started working wonders in my life. Yes, my dad was, taken from me, but he allowed me to find peace in that versus being angry and upset about it, which is something that if I was still, just kind of going by my fleshly desires, being of the world, I probably would have, took that situation a whole different way. And I'm just glad that, I was on this journey because I felt like God was keeping me. God knew what he was getting ready to do, and he was like, I need you close to me right now. Where I'm at in my journey, I feel like I'm in this pivotal stage where I'm transitioning out of like old ways, or understanding things that didn't make sense to me before, being aware and awaken in certain things. My past doesn't have to define who I am. Understanding perspective and understanding different walks of life through photography.
You say perspective, like, what have you learned from teaching these children? Like, what perspective have you got? Have you got one?
That everybody's walk is different, from the kids is just perspective of what they think photography is, to seeing how they take certain pictures, like showing them like we all see something very different,
Right.
How I may see and view the grass, she may view it different. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like just showing like how it starts there and then how that transitions into life as well. I told you guys, I'm being transparent with y'all because it's like we're doing this together, and you guys are seeing me raw and uncut, and this is just how I feel about it. It's nerve-wracking. It's like your truth is being aired, but it's at the same time, it feels like weights are being lifted as I talk, So
I feel free every time.
yeah. So. And that's why I need to do. That's why when this is out, I think it's gonna allow me to do more. Yeah. So.